Hello, everybody. We are on day 4 of our special 7-day interspecies communication practice challenge. And this is all celebrating World Interspecies Communication Month, all October. It's our first one. It's a whole month that celebrates this field and this connection we have with all of life on Earth. And it's meant to expand our awareness and expand what we do into the mainstream so that the rest of the world can start participating in the way we know is very special. So that's what this particular series is all about. It celebrates the month, and it also celebrates all 7 continents and brings experts from around the world to expand us, to expand our awareness, to expand our skills and abilities, and to help us start thinking a little differently and a little more expansively. My name is Josh Coen, and I run Speak Good Human, the free animal communication practice site. And today we are going live with this special workshop called Animal Communication Mythbusters. And this is really cool because number one, we have 2 communicators teaming up for this, one from Australia and one from North America. And they are going to be kind of busting the myths that a lot of people think about some of the things in animal communication. They're concepts and rules that people put out there, and those are the types of things that really trip people up because they think they need to do it a certain way, or they feel like if they don't do it the way the teacher said, or the way they learned, or the way somebody else does it, then it won't work for them. And this whole series is really about saying, let's do what you do best. Let's figure out what works for you, and just know that it doesn't have to be this one way. It can be in many different ways. So I will introduce you to our guest today. We have Nicole Elizabeth, who's an animal communicator and medium from Australia. She is also an animal Reiki practitioner, and she's got the skills to do all that, but she also runs a great animal sanctuary in Australia. And so she's got all these great animals who she's caring for and lots of experience communicating with them. So I'm excited to have her here. And also, I just wanted to mention that, well, I'll mention it right now, but she runs a practice den on Speak Good Human, and she's got some of her sanctuary animals on there as well. And she welcomes anybody to come practice, and she's glad to give you feedback, and she'll give you a mentoring session as well if you send in something to her practice den. I'll have the address up at the end, and you can check that out. Now, teaming up with Nicole today is her North American counterpart. It's Courtney Moffatt. And we've had Courtney here before in our last practice challenge when she did a program for us called 5 Ways to Improve Communication with Any Animal. And that was a really popular workshop. Lots of great feedback, and she gave great tips on that. So we're happy to have her back here and teaming up with her buddy. And both of these communicators have contributed Dear Student letters as well to the site. So you can check those out on Speak Good Human, and they give some great tips and advice. So without further ado, let's bring on Nicole Elizabeth all the way from Australia.
Hello. Hello, what a welcome.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you here. And so I want people to know how great you are. You've been so supportive of the learners on the site and in general. And, we need people like you out there to champion what we're doing. We're trying to learn. We really want to do our best. And it's not good when it's a closed world, when you have to, pay at the door all the time and don't know what you're going to get. And so we're happy to have people like you who are so free with your wisdom and your help and expertise. It's very much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. I think it's great. I mean, if you know something, why wouldn't you want to share?
Well, I don't know. I feel that way, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're happy to have you here, and we're happy to welcome as well Courtney. Hello, Courtney.
Hello.
We recognized you from just a couple months ago.
Yes.
And you guys have known each other for a few years at least.
Oh, how long's it been?
It's been almost a year. It's been almost a year.
Okay.
I stalked her.
Yes, she did.
She's my mentor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And we
I say that we are each other's support system.
yeah.
Well, it's great that from across the world you had a bond and you stayed in touch and you guys get along so well that it's just the perfect time to team up like this and do a Mythbusters episode. So let's get right into it. We have a whole bunch of myths that we've come up with that maybe are perceptions that people have already about animal communication, and you guys are here to offer a different perspective that maybe these myths are true for some people, but maybe they're not for many others. And that's why it's really important for people to know that let's be open about things. Let's keep an open mind when we're approaching any of these topics. So without further ado, our first myth is, so if I'm doing it right, and by doing it, we were talking about animal communication. If I'm doing animal communication right, I should be able to know everything about the animal instantly.
Yep. So some people, not all, but some people do think that as soon as we connect with them, we're just gonna know everything. Yeah. And obviously that's not true. We only know what we're being told. Some people get shocked because what is important to a person might not be important to an animal. So here's a couple examples. This one horse had a reading. Now, 4 years before the reading, she had a baby, and she raised the baby, and then the baby grew up, and then they sold it to a new home. So they didn't actually live together anymore. But the owner was shocked that the horse did not bring up the fact that she had a baby. But the horse, feels that part of her life is over and she has moved on. But, looking at it from a person's perspective, a person would always obviously remember their child, and that would still be a part of their life. So that's a difference there. Some things that animals look at is just not the same as what we have. So therefore they don't talk about it. Another example, I talked to this one dog, and the very first thing that she started telling me was about this kitten that she lives with, how much she loves her, she protects her, she was just going on and on. They have a great relationship. And the owner, the lady, she was cracking up because she's like, of all things for her to first tell you, she tells you about that darn cat. Sometimes health issues, they'll not, volunteer information about that for different reasons. Maybe they don't want us to worry. Maybe they don't want to go to the vet. Maybe they don't think it's a big deal. I mean, there's different reasons, but the bottom line is that we are only know what we are being told. And I've had some people that said that, oh, well, I'm kind of nervous to get this reading because I'm nervous to see what they're going to say. Like, I don't want them to say something about me, such as I walk around the house and I talk to myself all the time. You're going to think I'm nuts.
Uh-huh.
I have never had an animal dish on anyone's secrets, they know what's private. And
it's such a good myth because I've come across that as well. When I tell friends who don't know how to do animal communication, they kind of know about it, but they just kind of steer clear of me because they don't want. Really, they feel like I can just see right into their souls and see everything about them, and the animal too. They you're just going to have access to every secret that they have, and it really isn't true. It's like you said, they're an individual being, and they interact with you just like everybody else, and you don't go around spilling everything that you know in your head to everybody, and they won't either.
Right.
What about you, Nicole? Is that your experience as well?
I know, I agree. Courtney and I seem to agree on everything.
Okay.
And when she did her last workshop, there was not one thing that she said that I disagreed with. I'm like, yes, and yes. So absolutely. And she's used one of my sort of examples that I was going to say further down, which I'll say, is that it is different perspectives. And we do only know what we're told. So we can't really... we can't force information out of an animal either, like you can't force information out of a person.
Right.
So, if you only have half an hour or an hour conversation to get as much information as you can, that sometimes can be really hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes can be really easy, but, just don't put so much expectation on yourself to know everything in that half an hour.
And back to, this actual myth is about, if I'm doing it right, I should be able to know everything about the animal instantly. Well, that kind of relates to, like, if you're in a group setting with practicing and one person gets one bit of information, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get that exact information or that you will. It just, we all get different information, different perspectives. It's sort of like that old tale about the elephant where the wise men or the men were surrounding the elephant. They're blind men, I guess, and they all felt a different part of the elephant and were asked to describe what they were feeling. And they each described something completely different because one was feeling the tail and one was feeling the trunk and one was feeling the leg. And if you look at the big picture, it's the elephant, but we're all getting our own perspective, our own little part of it. And
that's a great example.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have we covered this one then? Should we move on? Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna rock and roll through these because we have a lot of great ones for you guys today. So we'll just move along. And if you have any other questions for these communicators, please do put them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them at the end. So if you have your own myths that you feel need busting or other questions that you're wondering about, we're happy to answer them. Second myth is, I will hear all the information easily and clearly from the animal. So it's sort of a continuation from the last one where if you connect, it's all going to be crystal clear for you, and you're going to get it all right there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Right. So it is definitely not crystal clear, at least for me. I obviously can't speak for everyone because everyone does things different. A lot of people probably heard of using our clair senses. Like, we have our 5 physical senses, but our psychic senses are the clairs. I won't go into the clairs because you guys already know that could be a whole show in itself.
Right.
And like I was saying, if you ask 10 communicators how they get information, you will get 10 different answers. There's no right or wrong. The one thing that people have to remember is don't ever compare yourselves or how you do things to somebody else, because we're all different. You will start to self-doubt yourself, and self-doubt can start bringing up blocks, and blocks are bad.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to put out there, and I think a lot of people could resonate with this, is that I am not psychically gifted. I never had any experiences as a child, seeing or hearing things. I don't feel energy how some people do, like with Mercury retrograde. Like, I feel like an average Joe in that, in that realm. However, you can still do this. You're going to have to put more effort into it, a lot more time into it, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
For me, for how I get the information, just for someone who's not psychically gifted, I wanted to throw this out there. So when I get the information, it comes in as like pieces of a puzzle, and I have to try as much as I can to put them together to see what the bigger picture is. So I am not able yet to hear an actual animal's voice, or if I'm doing like a mediumship reading for a person who's passed over, I can't hear them talking to me. Maybe I'll get there at some point. I just haven't developed yet. I'm not sure, but I can hear my own inner voice. And for the longest time, though, for like the first year I started doing this, I didn't even hear that. because I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't know it was a thing, if that makes sense. Like I didn't even know you used your inner voice. And so I suppressed it. So once I realized it was there, and it was very, very quiet, and I had to like really work to bring it to the surface, so to speak. So now I can at least use my inner voice. I can see words spelled out like in my mind, and I like read the words.
Oh, wow.
Come right away. That actually came a couple years after doing this, but I can read words. And then of course, I mean, I'm very clairvoyant, which means I can see things. So I have, like a lot of pictures or whatever they want to show me. I am very claircognizant, which means I get information. I just know information, but there was no source to the information. Like I didn't, it just kind of fell in my lap. Mm-hmm. And I can feel when I do claircognizant because it feels right. And I know it's legit. So that's sort of like how me personally, where I come from or what I get. And like I said, it's a puzzle. I have to try to put all this together and try to figure it out. And the last thing that I want to talk about was symbolism. And symbolism is, you get some kind of information that might not make sense to you. You might be like it's kind of confusing, and you have to try to figure out what the deeper message is. The reason why they use symbolism is because there are some things that would be kind of difficult to for them to explain if literally gave it to us. So here's a great example. I was doing a reading on a dog who was sick, and I had the strangest urge to lick a battery. Never in my life have I ever even wanted to lick a battery. I think you actually get shocked if you lick it. And I told the owner, and she said, "Wow, that actually makes perfect sense." She said, because she smelled the dog's breath, and his breath smelled off, like his pH was off.
Oh.
With a connection together, alkaline battery.
Oh.
But see, without the owner, I wouldn't have figured that one out.
No.
The owner, the person is very, very key in figuring out some of the symbolism.
Oh, yeah.
But if I was literally shown that without symbolism, like how would I even be shown a picture that your pH is off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not often shown symbols like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I know a lot of people do get them, and you can even start paying attention to those and collecting symbols that maybe start showing up for you on a regular basis. Some of the same ones. So if you saw a battery again, maybe it would mean a similar thing with another animal.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nicole, do you see any symbols?
Well, I was just thinking as you were saying things like that, sometimes you can get two different symbols that mean the same thing. So you could get, I don't know why I'm seeing green all the time, but then I'm seeing a bone. Or, it could be that the dog has a bone toy that's green, and things like that. So you can definitely get different symbols. And so like with Courtney, if I got the battery, I would actually say to the owner, I'd be like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I feel like I'm crazy. And then they, like you said, they are really good at figuring it out. But also with the information, sometimes, and this is just different people, sometimes I hear it differently in my head. Like sometimes I think from this area that I hear from this area, and it's not always, depends on the animal. So, and then it may not be clear, it may just be like a flash of something. You're like, whoa, what was that? Like it all depends. So, it's not going to be clear all the time, but definitely do take note of your symbols, because I've had a couple of different animals show me the same symbol. I'm like, oh, okay, that animal's passed, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So
how that was described to me at one point was, it's sort of like you're building your own dictionary. And I know they're in the psychic world, they do talk about psychic dictionaries and how you collect these meanings for yourself, and it's your own personal dictionary, and the animals can tap into what you feel are your symbols that mean things to you, and can say, okay, I'm going to use that one, I'm going to use that one. And you already know. So it sort of
Mhm.
makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. And they can access your memories too. So you could be remembering something, you're like, oh, it reminds me of a time when I did this. Why would I be remembering that? And they're like, oh, this is the same thing that happened with that animal or something. So
Yeah.
they have full access to everything in your head.
All right.
You don't have access to theirs though.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, you may hear everything easily and clearly, or it may come in a much different way or in many different ways. And it kind of comes down to your personal path and how you learn, how you hear, how you feel, all that stuff. It's all personal. And so your first step is to figure out who you are and how you work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Okay, let's move on to myth number 3. The animal will always give the answers that their people are expecting.
Yes. Sometimes it can be expected that, you're going to give an answer to a question that was never asked, and it's going to be exactly what the owner wants to know, and it's going to be exactly what they think the animal's going to think. And that's not knocking an owner or anything. It's just sometimes that's how communication is perceived.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you want to know the answer to something, it's best to ask the question, and then so they can ask a direct question and get a direct answer. But it's also good to remember that what we get, and Courtney touched on it before, is we only get what we're told. And what we get is from the animal's perspective. It's their message. We're literally just the tool bringing it to you. Yeah. And so with perspective, I mean, how many times have you had a conversation with a partner or a friend or a loved one, and you're both in the same conversation, and then you think, how did you get that from that conversation?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, and so you may ask a pet a question, and the owner may be like, no, that's not how they would perceive it. And so I'll give you an example: is if an animal say, I love chicken. I love to eat chicken. And then this has actually happened to me. And then I've told the owner, and the owner's like, I've only given it chicken once or twice before, it doesn't like chicken. Or no, I don't feed it chicken. It's like, well, I'm not asking you what you feed it. I'm telling you what it likes to eat from the animal's perspective. Someone may ask me what I like to eat. I love chocolate. I love chocolate. I love bad food. Love a bit of that drink. Can't have it all the time because it's not good for me. So, it's all about perspective and just remembering that it's always from life, the way the animal sees it. And another example is in Australia, there was like a current affairs show, and all the owners, there's about 5 owners of 5 different dogs. All the owners said, my dog would protect me. If an intruder comes in the house, I have full confidence this dog would protect me. So they set it up. The people were just at home doing normal stuff, and then this intruder comes running in with the mask on. 4 out of the 5 dogs ran, including big dogs. The only one that stayed and had a little bit of a go was I think it was like a little Chihuahua type dog.
Yeah.
And the minute the person went to it, it took off too. So it's just, you may think your dog sees the world from one way and would do something for you, but in reality, the dog may not see it from that point of view, or the dog and any animal.
Yeah. That, it would be interesting to have not only asked the people that question, but then ask the animals that question. If an intruder came in, would you stay and protect, or would it be scary for you?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'd freeze.
I think I have a medium-sized dog. She's super friendly and gentle, but in protection mode, she'll go crazy. But sometimes it takes her a moment to realize what's really going on, and then if she really thinks there's a danger, she won't be there to protect. She'll run the other way.
At least
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always just ask the question and be open to the answer. Be open that it's the animal's response and answer and the way they see life. That's the best way I can sort of debunk that myth, I guess, if that helps.
Yeah, and this has a lot to do with the animal people and getting them to be a little more open to what could be and what is. not just expecting one thing, because I know we all kind of will submit a conversation to people, and we'll get a lot of, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's never happened, or things like that. And it can crush your confidence really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But if you realize what you guys are saying here is, it may actually be true. And, you're hearing it directly from the animal, and the animal's people aren't hearing it directly from the animal. They're assuming certain things, and based on the fact that they live with the animal or they know the animal really well. But anything to add, Courtney, for this one?
No, I was going to say what you just said.
Oh, okay.
That the owners can like give us blocks because they're hurting our confidence, and then, they make us cause self-doubt, and it's like, no, I heard that, but you're saying that, and it just
I think it's a great idea to prep them in advance and just say, anything can happen here. You might think you know everything about your animal, but let's hear it from the animal. And this, what I'm going to be relaying to you is what I heard, whether it sounds right or not. It's what I heard, and partly up to them to interpret and really give it a go, not just take what you have to say, but really think about what you're saying and try to make sense of it and see why did this animal say this.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I assume, Courtney, I know you surround yourself with horses. I don't know.
Right.
You don't live on a ranch or anything.
No, not just a couple acres, 2 horses.
So you do live with your horses, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicole, I assume that the roosters and the chickens that I hear are from your end. I love it, by the way.
Yes, they're the rescues. I have chickens over here, cows over there, pigs over there, goats over there.
That's great. No, I love it. It's a great reminder that we're not just people in this technical world here. We're a part of it all. So it's great to have them here.
I want to have a field trip to Nicole's place.
I know. We need a virtual tour. Have you ever done that?
I haven't, but I could.
I would love to see that.
Oh, okay. We can set that up.
Okay. Myth number 4. Animals in spirit are fixated on how they died.
Yeah. So a lot of people, whenever I do a mediumship reading, they just think that the first thing that their animal is going to say is about, the pain and the suffering, whenever the end came and died, and they don't. I mean, general speaking, I personally can say I've never came across an animal who was obsessed with talking about those details. They just want to talk about the happy stuff. They want to, just the good times in their life with their person. And probably a lot of people out there that need to hear this, that no, your animal does not blame you for, if you had to make the decision.
Right.
You did everything you could have done. So any of those guilt things that people feel, the animals don't feel like that. They just love their person. So, I guess there could be an exception, for animals who are maybe fixated on how they died. If it was like an example of a dog that was in a puppy mill its whole life, it was a breeding dog, had a horrible life, had a bad death. I mean, maybe if you talk to an animal like that, because most of their life was bad, I don't know. I haven't had that experience, but in all my experiences, they don't, they just focus on the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we are here stuck without our animal after that happens. And so we're still feeling the trauma and the sadness and the pain. And so it's kind of natural for us to be fixated on that. Yeah. Even if they were in that, I've heard of animals who, when they've lost a sibling or a friend, an animal friend, they've been depressed or sad about it. So I won't say that they're not focused on that at all ever. Some are, I guess. But not after they've transitioned. They're in a place where I think you're right. They probably are not focused at all on this. It's just a happy thing for them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
they've gone to a good place. They've just like, excuse me, taken off their coat, and it's so much better over there for them. So yeah, I agree. I've never had an animal be fixated on how they die. And in fact, some animals don't even want to talk about it. It's like, oh, who cares?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just a people thing, and it's
definitely
it's not saying that it's not hard for us. It's the hardest thing we can go through with our animals, but it's we're talking about if the animal's fixated on it, and pretty much no.
Yeah.
Okay. Myth number 5: accurate communication can only happen in person.
I personally only do remote communications, mainly because I do live out here, and for me to go anywhere, it'll take me an hour just to get there, an hour to get back, and then for half an hour conversation, when I could just do it from home and get the same information. So to all people that are learning out there, you don't have to do it a certain way. If you find it better doing it by yourself, I personally prefer doing it by myself. It's just me. I like it. If you prefer doing it in person, by all means do it in person, but also just realize if you do it in person, the animal may not sit there and be completely focused on you and be like, okay, let's chat, because they may be off in the field doing something. They're the masters of communication. It's no different to, say, if you're cooking dinner, having a conversation with a partner and then writing a shopping list. You can do it all at the same time. You don't have to sit there and devote your whole attention to your partner talking or whatnot. So don't ever feel like you have to do it a certain way. It's just, I think it's a myth that you can only have to do it in person. I personally find that sometimes it's better when you're not near the animal. Then you don't have, especially if you're new, you don't have the pressure of the people looking at you. You don't have the pressure of, oh, what's going on? Am I going to get it right? Why is the animal not looking at me? Just take all that away and just do it by yourself.
I have always been amazed at the people who go on the radio or TV and do this live with people or in a live setting. I mean, I think it takes a certain skill to do that, and some people may really love it. I think I would find it to be a lot of pressure, but that's just because of the way I communicate right now. But if it came to me that easily in a situation, I think I'd go for it. But are you saying that, I mean, have you done it in person?
I have gone to do a few animals, and obviously the animals here I do in person, especially when they come. I've had a duck say to me, why am I here? And it's like, well, buddy, you were quite violent where you were, and you need to come here because you need to chill. And so all that I do in person and some friends. But I don't know, it's not me. I don't like crowds either. So for me to go around into a crowd and it's just not my thing. I like being a little bit of a hermit anyway. So for me, that's just the way I do it.
Have you ever noticed has it been stronger or a weaker connection with any of the methods that you use? Or are they both?
I personally am the strongest in my zone, whether I'm out in nature, up against a tree, or in my room. I can focus all my attention that way. So I find it stronger that way. Although when I'm out, so an example, when I was out in the field with my cows, I was holding something in my hand and I instantly heard, oh, he's going to kick. And I turned around and I've just got to where my steer was pulling back to kick because of the thing in my hand. So it can be really clear. I just personally don't like doing it. So if you've got if you're out there and you're learning and you've got a teacher saying you have to do it this way, or it's not real communication if you do it in remotely or person, do it your way. Do it what's best for you, whatever's strongest, like you said.
Well, I know a lot of people who go to a workshop, an in-person workshop, and they usually have an animal or a few animals live there, and that can be a lot of pressure right in front of you. It's sort of, you're not in your zone. You're also dealing with everything else that's going on in the room. People looking at you, people expecting that you're going to actually come up with something. it's a lot of pressure. And I think maybe to start out in your own comfort zone and then branch out from there if you like to. I know some people who like to do communications and they'll write them down and email it to somebody. Other people will do it by video, live video. Other people will just do an audio, and they're all just following their strengths, which is great. So that's pretty much the bottom line here. Courtney, have you had any other different experiences with this? Do you?
I mean, yeah, I would agree with everything that you guys said. I have done a lot in person.
Oh.
I can concentrate better when I'm at home or, like by myself.
Yeah.
It's taking the pressure off you that the person's not there like watching you or, anything like that. I actually will do, I call them pet parties. So I will go somewhere where like there's like a group of people and everyone gets like a little like mini reading, and those are fun. It just depends on the environment that I'm in though, because if I'm just like if someone just has like a pet party at their house, it's usually okay. But if I'm like, I did a big pet expo, and it was in a big city, and there was, I don't know, probably like 10,000 people there.
Wow.
So there was a lot of energy. Of course, there was a lot of noise, and it was just a lot. And for me, trying to do readings in that environment, I mean, I got it done, but it was so mentally taxing. Like I was exhausted, after I did 2. And so I do prefer to do them at home by myself.
What was the mentally taxing part of it? Was it to try to block out everything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the noise and just the whole atmosphere there, it was chaotic.
Yeah. And did it scare you to be in that environment and worry that something's not going to come through for you?
You know what? I didn't feel that way. I don't know. I guess I was just confident that I knew I could do it. But I mean, the sad thing was like after doing a couple and, feeling exhausted, I was like, I hope nobody else wants any more readings. Like maybe I'll take my sign down. Like this is because I didn't want to fail. You know what I mean? I didn't want to put myself in that position.
Yeah.
But I got through it.
All right. And would you do it again, or just?
You know what? Honestly, the second year I did that expo, I did not offer readings there.
Wow.
I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to go home with a headache. So I just signed people up to do like normal readings with me over the phone. So
yeah. Okay. So you still will do a live reading by phone then?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I do them by phone, and then I'll do like an email reading. So I offer 2 different options.
Okay. And Nicole, how do you give readings to people?
I prefer to do the reading and then speak to them, because I just feel like I don't want to be led by anything. I just want to get the information, and I get a kick out of it that way, because then when they go, oh yeah, they do that, I'm like, that just gives me the boost. Whereas, and that's just the way I prefer to do it. And I have done them live, yes, but I don't know. I just like doing it. It's like my thing. It's my zone out. And like, even if I'm sitting on a train, and I'll do it. Like, I don't mind being some places, but I have to feel like I'm in my bubble.
Got it.
So, sorry.
So if you're on the phone with somebody and relaying what you got, and then they have follow-up questions in the moment,
that's fine.
Then you'll do that. You'll connect with the animal right then and there, and
yeah, that's fine. And then sometimes, even if it's quick and you're having a chat with someone, maybe say you're chatting on Facebook, you'll just do it there and then in chat. And that's fine. I can also do, like Courtney says, the email, or I'll record it on YouTube and then send them the link, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just my personal, I like my bubble. I would have died in that expo. I would have absolutely died, because there would have been so many people, and I'd be like, oh. Yeah, I'm just not a crowd person.
That's why I give credit to the people who go on TV and do this, and I just can't imagine.
I couldn't do that.
No,
like they're under pressure.
I don't see the point. If you don't have to, I'm good.
Oh, I know. Myth number 6 is animal communication can get animals to do almost anything.
I love this one. Animal communication to me is just that. it's communication. It's not mind control. We can suggest to someone to do something. I could say, hey, Courtney, can you get up and do 5-star jumps? And she'd be like, no. Like you can suggest an animal to do something, and it doesn't mean they have to do it. They have free will. They have emotions. They have their own little bubble that they live in. And one that we would get a lot, and I know that Courtney seems to get a lot of anxiety cases. They want you to tell the animal to calm down and not act like that in that situation. But if anxiety was that easy, you wouldn't have therapy, you wouldn't have medication for anxiety with humans. We accept it with humans, but we seem to not accept it with animals. And, imagine if someone was in an anxiety attack as a human and someone went, just calm down. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. So there are things you have to work through, and another issue too is where sometimes the animal's not trained, even just basic low-level training, just the sit, the stays, the recall, and then they ask you just to tell an animal to do something. It's like, well, we're kind of the why. We can tell you why an animal does something. It could be past trauma, lack of training, that sort of thing. We can explain to the animal what to do and what the owner's expectations are, but the how really does come by training for a lot of behavioral issues. I've got an example. I call her Lucy the lawless pig. One, I'm a Lucy lawless fan. Two, the pig's name Lucy. She was quite a handful. The rescue that adopted her out contacted me because Lucy was breaking out of her enclosure, charging at the neighbour, breaking out, charging at the owner on the car. She actually had to throw her kids on the bonnet of the car because the pig was coming at her and have pigs. Yeah, it's really scary and intimidating when a pig is charging. I've been chased up a tree. It's scary stuff. And so I had this was, Lucy was going to go. She was a problem. And so I had a chat with Lucy and I explained to her, look, this is what you're putting your family through, and this is the end result if you don't get better, but I need you to really understand how your actions are affecting this family. And then Lucy had the chance to tell me that she was lonely and she was just trying to get their attention and she didn't know how to do it. And so it was kind of like you're mediating and you're letting the animal unload on you. That's what the communication part comes. They unload, and often just feeling heard and like, oh my God, I can get off my chest does tend to calm them down. But Lucy and I worked through a few things, and I can't even remember what Lucy sort of needed, I guess, from her humans. But the humans then went away and did it. And about 3 or 4 months later, I got a message and a photo of them camping on their property with Lucy, with the kids, all calm, happy. And it's because they listened to Lucy, Lucy listened to them, and they did the work together. Wow. So we're not mind control people, but we can definitely mediate and help with the situation.
Yeah. And what a gift for everybody involved. And that's what we always say is we're giving animals a voice. And that's exactly what it is. We always see those, the cases where the cat is not going to the bathroom in the litter box. They're going, and the person, I tell her I want her to go in the litter box. Make her do that. That's what they're so focused on. But there's obviously some other issues going on, and the place to start is just to listen, just to find out why are you doing this? What's the problem? Yep. Here's why it's a problem for us when you do it this way. And so you're kind of like a counselor in a way.
Absolutely. And let them offload, let them just get it all out and just get that release out. Because often that's a lot of it, but we can't just say, hi, I'm Nicole. We've got half an hour. I need you to do this, and this. Thanks very much. See you later.
Right.
It may not work like that.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back on the people as well to, it's kind of our job to tell them how it works a little more and to educate them a little more so that they aren't thinking that they're not owners. These animals are companions and they're housemates, and nobody's in control of anybody else. Nobody's in charge of anybody else. You're living together like roommates almost. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how you can work together better.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, and you teach your kids how to act in the house.
Right.
And you even teach other people how to treat you in a sense. So why not use the same respect with your animal and
Right.
set expectations?
Look what happens when you force your kids to do something without really an explanation. They go the opposite way. They're going to just rebel.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one. The myth is, it's important.
It is. It really is.
Courtney, I didn't ask you, did you have anything else to add to that one?
Yeah, I've had, some animals in the past who have had whatever kind of behavior issues. And, I explained to the animal, like there was a dog who just would not stop barking. She just always felt the need to get her voice out there. It didn't matter if her owners were home or if they were away. Like she just liked to bark. That was her thing. And nothing bad happened or anything. And we explained, that the neighbors are getting upset and all that. And she did start to get better, and she was starting to quiet down. But then she started up again. And a lot of the issue with some animals with some behavior problems is that it's just a habit for them, like they'll start to change. It's kind of like, I want to lose some weight, so I'm going to eat right and I'm going to exercise. You might do it for like a day,
right,
maybe 2 days, right? And then you very quickly go back into your bad habits again because it's easy, because that's what's comfortable. So I think that's some of an animal's issue, if they have like a behavior issue, is that they're just like us. Like it's hard to break these habits.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you don't remember what happened with the dog? Because that's a common one where the dog just barks, and nobody knows why.
Yeah. The owner, we kept up with like the readings with me and stuff, and we eventually got her to quiet down, but it took a little while. It was not an overnight thing.
Uh-huh.
And the owner noticed that if she didn't like do her part, if she didn't like keep up with reminding her and all that, then the dog went back to her old ways. So it was a lot of upkeep on the owner's part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all just building the relationship. So it does take two sides for sure.
Yeah.
Well, myth number 7 is the best way to know an animal is by understanding the breed and species.
This is an interesting one, and I have a good example using my own animal. I get to pick on her. Sometimes we can just assume, like as a communicator, oh, it's a dog, it's this breed, it's going to be prone to this. And sometimes when we can sort of put our little blocks up like that. Courtney's talking about blocks, like, well, it's just going to do this because of this breed. But that may not be the case. I remember having a communication with 2 hamsters in Japan. I know nothing about hamsters. I've never seen a hamster. I don't even think we have them in Australia. So for me, I guess ignorance was bliss, because then what I brought through was, they're like, oh yeah, that actually was happened, and that's how they came home. And so you can't assume just because an animal's a certain breed or species that it'll act a certain way. Now I get to pick on my cow. I had a cow called Emma, and she, people think of cows eating grass, eating hay, that sort of stuff. Emma was none of that. She didn't eat hay until she was 3 years old. She hated it, would spit it out. She was more like a dog, and she would come inside. So the locals knew, oh, that's Emma, she goes inside. They'd see her coming outside of our house and whatnot. She was toilet trained. So she'd come inside. Yeah, we toilet trained her. We did have a bucket just in case. But she'd come inside, she'd go to her mattress, she'd sit down, and we'd all watch TV together as a family until it was, bedtime, and out you get. And or if she needed to go toilet, she gets up, she turned around and she went to the door. So if someone were to read my cow and went, why is this cow inside? Like, you may seem crazy to you, but bring it through, because that is not a typical cow behavior. you know, I did have someone, I'm not knocking this person, that had someone try to read Emma, and she's sort of like, you know, do a cold reading. So you look at the photo like, oh, she looks happy.
Right.
You just because of the environment. But I've actually seen some photos, and I actually said to the only other day, this photo looks like there's sad eyes, but I don't buy these sad eyes. This dog's a happy dog.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't sort of cold read the photo either, and you can't, you know, just go, well, this cow. This particular person said, oh, this cow had a calf. Like, well, no, she never had a calf. And in fact, we couldn't even keep her in the paddock with the boys because she hated it. She'd get so stressed and run away. She hated cows. So, you know, it's just, she was just, I could have a whole show on Emma, my cow. And in fact, my sanctuary is named after Emma. She started it all. And so breed, species has nothing to do with how an animal can act. I've done a communication, I can pick on these two. They were Shar-Peis, and Shar-Peis tend to have a bad rap, like they fight, they, you know, aggressive. But these they acted like little puppies. They weren't the way that you would anticipate a breed to act. So for all the people out there, you know, that are learning, just forget that you're looking at a particular breed or a species. Look at the photo to make that connection, but see it as a soul and a spirit. And, you know, you're talking to an actual soul, not an actual breed as such. And mix it up with, you know, a rooster, because the information you'll get will amaze you, and then you'll start to get past that barrier of, oh, it's a goat, I don't know if I can read it, or, oh, you know, it's a rooster. What do roosters do? Well, my rooster may like coming inside. I do have a rooster that comes inside. So, you know, like, it's all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, because this almost has two sides to it. One way is not to be typing the animal based on their breed or species, and because that can send you off in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time, just be open to what you hear, because a lot of people discard what they hear because they say, oh, a cow couldn't possibly whatever, like TV, that I'm getting this visual of the cow watching TV, that couldn't be it. And they put it aside and they think they're wrong. But, you know,
you're right.
Being open to the personality and the character of the being right. is what you really want to do.
Yep. 100%.
Anything to add on that, Courtney?
I agree with everything. I think you definitely should practice with as many different kind of animals.
Yeah.
To feel, because, you know, there might be someone who only talks to dogs, or, you know, whatever it is that they like, or they feel comfortable of. I have talked to a lot of snakes before, and, you know, when I tell people that who don't do this, they're like, snakes, oh my God, they're like, they can't be smart. And I'm like, actually, snakes are really smart, you know? And so it's, you know, and it's also different genders too, you know, try, you know, don't just talk to one or the other. But I really try as much as I can, keep an open mind about not stereotyping anything, because you just never know what they're going to be like. You never know what you're going to get, and you have to, you know, as you said, Josh, you have to trust what you're getting and go with it.
Yeah, I think everybody will be in a much better state if they just realize that what's coming through is likely what is coming through. It's not wrong. It's just from the animal or from the other being. And yeah, it could be wild and wacky, and it still is right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Our myth number 8 is real communication comes in full sentences.
I love this one. Okay. So if you're just first starting out to doing this, you cannot have the expectation that right off the bat, you're going to get all this information downloaded to you and it's going to be crystal clear and everything's great. I compare learning animal communication like learning like a foreign language. You know, you start off with learning a foreign language like one word at a time. You know, it's very, very basic. It's very broken down. And the words that you begin to learn are like boy, girl, car, cat, like, you know, they're very, very simple. And that's how it is with this. But the more that you practice, if you practice like 10 minutes every day, within a year, you're going to be like pretty good. I mean, you might not be super fluent, but I mean, you're going to be way better than day one. So it's just how much you're putting into it. But some people, whenever they first start out and they might only see a color. They might only get one word. I mean, just very, very basic stuff. And people have to remember or to know that telepathy is very quick. So telepathy is how we are receiving this information, how we're sending this information. All telepathy is, you're sending thoughts, images, and emotions over a distance. That's all it is. Doesn't matter how great that distance is, but it's very quick. Like when I first started, if I wasn't fully concentrating, paying attention, it would zip through my mind so quick and it would be gone. And I'd be like, oh, wait, come back. Like, I didn't get that. And it wouldn't, and it would be gone. I have learned over the years to slow it down, and I can even hold an image. So it doesn't just zip on by. I can kind of like hold it in my mind and really look at it. But I mean, that takes a lot of time and practice and all that. Whenever I did my very first workshop on this, we broke into groups. We had partners. We read each other's animals. My partner, it was her first time doing animal communication, but she had done a lot of like psychic work, like intuitive work ahead of time. So she was like pretty advanced with that. So her reading on my dog was very detailed. It was very long. It was very good. She was very accurate. Well, again, this was my very first workshop. My reading on her dog was like 2 words. And I felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
My reading after she gave me this long, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was very cool about it. She's like, listen, she's like, I was like that when I first started. It takes time to develop. So, and I see that with new people starting out. That's normal. That's very normal. You cannot expect to have all this information. The other thing I wanted to mention, and we talked about it several times, how you will get feelings or you will get, some sort of information coming at you, and it's super subtle. And like how I mentioned earlier with my inner voice, my hearing, I was suppressing it. I wasn't even aware I was suppressing it.
Yeah.
And then when I finally realized it, learned of it, it took a little while to bring it to the surface. But I have learned, and this is just me personally talking, that the subtle things that I have to pay attention to are always the correct things. Some of the things that are very like loud and clear, so to speak, sometimes that's my own mind talking, and I have to use discernment. But I mean, sometimes the loud and clear stuff is totally legit. I just have to learn how to sift that information through. But that subtle stuff, for me personally, it's always correct. I just have to pay attention to it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said in an earlier question, it still doesn't always come in a sentence for you. You often have to piece things together based on how we work, and symbology and all different feelings, all the different clues that come in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure for some people it does come in a sentence.
Yeah. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, what's your experience around it?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that often you might just get one word, or you may walk past an animal and get a feeling.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. And that's all you get. But the more you pay attention to it, the more you realize, oh, hang on, I am communicating here. And a lot of times owners are communicating without noticing it, because, they could be doing something else and they're like, oh, I might have to fill up the dog's water. And they go and the water is empty. And it's like the dog's like, I've been waiting, or it's dinner time, that sort of stuff. So you just be completely open to how you get it. I mean, one word, amazing. I mean, that's awesome that you can recognize that word came from that animal. Yeah, I mean, and how it gives you a big boost. You're like, yes, I can do this. I really can. And And, and then sometimes you'll speak to some animals that are so experienced at it, and you'll be asking the question and you'll get the answer before you've even finished.
Oh, yeah.
And so that it can vary so much. And don't be afraid to say to the animal, I'm new to this. You're an expert. I need your help. And they'll give you more than they need to give to help you. And ask them again if you're not sure. Just I don't know if I quite got that. Is this correct? And they may think, well, I'm done with that question, too bad. Or you may get the same feeling again, and there's your confirmation.
Yeah.
So it's all,
Yeah, and I would also add, if you do only get 2 words, it doesn't mean you're broken.
Mm-hmm.
And it also doesn't mean that if you keep working at it, that you will get the sentences. It may just not be one of your strengths and how you perceive all this stuff. Because I know professional communicators have been doing this for a very long time, and they know their strengths. And it could be that the hearing part of it is not one of them. Everything that they get is through feeling or whatever. And this entire player is there for them, but they're perfectly fine with it when it works for them. So that's another reason not to compare. Just find your own strength and go with that, because you'll be able to piece it together with whatever you have to work with, your own skills.
Absolutely. And who's to say the animal just doesn't want to talk?
That's right.
Might say hi, see ya.
That's true.
There's all different reasons, and it may not all be you.
Yeah. Take the pressure off and let's just go for it. Go with it and go for it. We have one more myth, so I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Nicole or Courtney, they're happy to answer anything you have, and write it down in the comments below, and we'll get to them right after this. And that's the plan. And I know a lot of people are. We did this at a kind of an odd hour because we're from different parts of the world, all 3 of us, and so we had to work it this way. So some people will be catching this not live, and if you have questions, still write them down below, and we'll monitor it and get to them. So, all right. So last myth: your animals in spirit will always visit you. Well, that's an emotionally charged one there.
That is, because when a pet passes, all you want is some sort of sign or confirmation or a dream or something to know that they're okay. And sometimes pets just won't give you that. And it's not anything to do with you. Sometimes every soul, whether it be person or pet, has their own path, their own purpose, and their own soul contract. And it may be that they're off doing something else. It may be that if a pet comes back at the time of you grieving, you may get stuck in that grief process. You may not be able to get past, I just want to see him again, or, it could be that this pet passing has then pushed you into a different path in life. And if they come back or give you a sign at that point in time, you may not follow your path and you may not get to where you need to go. And I personally, I've got animals and they've passed and I haven't seen them again. Like, I know they're okay because my spirit animal team have told me. Yeah. But that's it. They're gone. They're off doing their own thing. They have no need to contact me because they're fine. Another animal, the owner was quite upset, and this animal couldn't hear in life. She was deaf, and she was off exploring, and she was having a great time. She didn't feel the need to come back because I'm doing stuff. It's there's so many different reasons, and I've got pets that I have literally just died, and I've been touching the body and it was warm, and then the next minute I felt him come up next to me, and then we had like a 4-hour conversation. So with him it was like, and I see him every communication, and every animal will see him. He has a job and it's with me. But then other animals, I'll pick on Cole, my goat. He does come in with me, but he told me that he waits for opportunities for people's dreams, and he was showing me how they were sort of like lights to him coming up and he'd go into their dreams and he'd go and visit them. I haven't seen him in a dream. But then I have a friend who has seen him in a dream. And so, if he didn't help me with my communication, I wouldn't see him. He's off, and he laughs, because when I did ask him about it, he was giggling, saying, oh, yes, I go and see people, because he was so curious alive. And he thinks it's hilarious that he can actually go and do this. And you know how sometimes you see an animal, you're like, oh, what does that animal mean? What does a white male goat mean, sort of thing? And he's like, that's me. He loves doing it. And so some animals don't need to come back to see you, and it may be for their benefit, and it may be for your benefit. Yeah. Some animals you'll see all the time. So just remember that if your pet doesn't visit you, it's not anything against you. Right. They see things from a bit bigger perspective, and they see like the greater plan, and everything is always going to be for the greater good. So if it's that they're not visiting you, there's a reason behind it, and you have to just trust that the animal, who is the biggest form of unconditional love that there is doing it for your best interest and your greater good. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big comfort for people, because I know that's the first question: is my animal here with me? Are they coming back? When are they coming back? And those are all great questions, and anybody would love to know them. And I'm sure an animal communicator can connect, even if the animal is not contacting you. You can still contact them and ask the question, I'm sure.
I've actually, oh, sorry.
You'll probably answer the question right now.
Oh, so I was going to say that I've actually seen animals show me. So they've shown me that they haven't gone to visit their humans, but what they show me is them looking at their human's life, and time on that side doesn't exist. Past, present, and future is all sort of rolled into one. So what I see, it's kind of like them looking at what you would call like a TV screen. It's just their symbol of how it works for them. You know those things, I guess in America, I've never seen one in Australia, and you see them in the movies, and the newspaper articles like go through really fast. And yeah, so they were showing me something that looks like that, and it's like your life. And then they sort of pause and do something, and then like interject in your life there and interject in your life there, but they're not actually visiting you. They could be sending you a new pet. They could be pushing you back on the path that you were meant to be on. They won't always come back and be there and help you. Some do, but
in the way that you think they want,
exactly,
or that you want them to.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't will it to happen, because it's their purpose and their soul plan as well.
Yeah. Anything else to add on that, Courtney?
Yeah. So I have some animals of mine who don't really visit me that often. I mean, if I like communicate with them, I'll definitely talk. If I really wanted them to come, to visit me, they would, but it's just not something that they really do, and I think a lot of it is because I'm fine with it. I mean, I love them, I miss them. It's not anything like that, but like they know that I'm okay without them, On a different note, I did a reading with this one dog, and the other dog that used to live with her, he had already passed away like 2 years ago. Well, the live dog, she is still not over him. Like, she's still grieving him. And so I talked to him and I say, do you visit her? Like, I tried talking to I was like, but I asked the passed over dog, I was like, what advice can you give to help us help her? And he said he doesn't visit her because she can't get over her grief. He feels that if he visited her, it would make it worse and not better. So he distanced himself from her.
I can see that happening with a person who they may not be able to move on or even get another animal because they're just focused on that and the pain and see that. So yeah, like Nicole said, they know the bigger picture. So it's likely all meant to be the way it is, and we should probably try to accept that and realize that it's meant to be that way. There is that bigger picture, and things will work out in the end. And I've heard that the people in your life and the animals in your life are likely part of your soul family, and so they're with you in this life, and they likely will be with you in some form in many other lives. So it's not the last time you'll ever see them. It's just one of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, anybody else have any questions out there? I'm looking at some of the comments, but I don't see any specific questions. This is your chance. I will say, let's say, I'll talk a little more about, well, here's how to reach these two ladies. Courtney's website, you can check out everything she does. She's really into the horse side of things. That's one of your degrees is in equestrian studies, which, so you have an affinity for horses, and
Mm-hmm.
And you also do Reiki and teach classes when
Yep.
when it's available. Yeah. And then Connect to Animals, that's Nicole's website. And you can check out everything she has to offer over there. I kind of already went over some of the things she does. Are you guys offering any workshops right now? Any teaching opportunities?
Not right now. It's hard because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I'm hoping like next year in 2021 to start getting some stuff lined up.
Okay.
I probably personally, being the person that I am, would probably do more online Zoom.
Yes.
Because that's me. You're a brave woman than I am, Courtney, because I freak out. But yeah, that is something I've been looking into, and I actually write down my journey. So if I have a particular case, I'll write it down. So then when I get to that point where I want to do classes, I can actually remember all the good things and the tips that I can pass on that may work for you. They may not. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully.
Some other places I just wanted to point out. So this is Nicole's practice den on Speak Good Human. And if you go there, she has some of her wonderful animals, a great selection of interesting animals to talk with. And if you send in a conversation with one of them and would like some extra help or some mentoring, she is generously offering that for you. So it's really a great opportunity, especially if you're just starting out and you're a little unsure about anything, any of the process that's happening. To have a guide with you like that is so great, because it's one thing to do it on your own and to be independent, but it can be scary because there's a lot of unknowns, and before you really feel comfortable with every process, it's great to have somebody you can ask, is this right? Does it sound right to you? Am I doing it something wrong? Why do I feel this way? Or have you ever had this happen? So take advantage of these guided opportunities. It's great. And then this is the address to go to see Courtney's the last webinar that we did together. It's on this page, and you can find 5 great tips that she gave last time. And like I said, it was a really popular webinar, and you go there and find out why. And then I just wanted to mention that we'll check back to see if anybody has any questions before we head out of here. But I wanted to just say again that this series is part of World Interspecies Communication Month. And it's a really important initiative because there's a growing number of animal communicators in this world, and we're all kind of doing our own thing, but we really need to do things together as well. We need to unite this field and really start thinking, how can we reach the greater public and do something more to create more awareness? Because we can all do our own thing to reach them, but there's still a lot of people out there who just have, number one, they have no clue that it even exists, or if they've heard about it, they just don't believe it, and they'll badmouth it. And we have to have a lot of hurdles to get past that, because what we really want is for everybody to just know that this is real, to know it exists, and to treat it like a language, like any other language, like it exists, and this is what we use to communicate with all species on Earth. And if we can get that down, with everybody on board with that, this world would be in a much better place. So that's what this initiative is about. You can check out this website, and there's a lot of great stuff there. And of course, this series is sponsored by Speak Good Human, and we have probably at least 250 animals there ready to practice with anybody out there, and probably at least 50 more in the practice dens. So there's lots of great opportunities to practice. And even if you're working with a teacher and they have their own animals to practice with, fine. But this is a great way, like if we want more practice, and that's when I took my workshop, I definitely wanted more than the teacher was giving, the once a week thing. I wanted to practice every day. And I did that by looking at animals on Craigslist and some weird places that I could never really get feedback with those. So this is a great opportunity to get the feedback and to progress. So let's see if there are any other questions. Let's see. It's like Shannon is saying, is Reiki more beneficial when connecting with animals? That's a great question, by the way, Shannon. I when I was first starting, I asked specifically about Reiki and animal communication. Like, how important are they to work together?
I think they can complement each other. And I had someone had a saying, when in doubt, Reiki it out. And, if you're not sure, you can actually, because you can send Reiki into the future. And so you can send that energy out for a good communication. You can send energy, you can do a healing session on an animal, and you can sort of preset more healing sessions on animals. And I personally have like a little box, and in my little box, I call it my little Reiki healing box, and I'll put their names in there, and I'll sort of put the energy in there so they keep getting that energy as well. It can help calm an animal down to speak to you as well. So I think these sorts of things complement each other. You don't need it. Obviously, you don't have to have it. You don't, just because you're an animal communicator means you have to have Reiki. I also do angel healing, and I'm actually really into that at the moment. But yes, it is beneficial, but you can do it without it as well.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's also, it's kind of why I'm doing this series on expanding, what we think, what we're doing here. We're learning animal communication. So should we just be focused on the specific skills that have to do with animal communication? And I'm saying, and you guys are saying, no, there's lots of things that are connected out there. Reiki is one of them, because Reiki is about energy, and that connects to everything. So Reiki, angel healing, any of these things are great to just explore. If it interests you, explore it. If it works to support what you're doing, go for it. Anything's game. So 100%. Great question and great answer.
I'd like to add one thing to that. On the flip side, if you are just doing Reiki to an animal, because if you knew how to do animal communication, you can get more feedback from the Reiki. So sometimes, when I'm doing a Reiki session, they'll talk to me, send me whatever they want to send, and then I can give that feedback to their owners. So work both ways.
Yeah, and actually a third point would be, some people use these tools. They have their set of tools that they like to use all the time. It's like I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do the crystals, and then I'm going to do the pendulum. And sometimes that can be great if they know it works for them. But if they're just doing it because they feel they have to do all these things in order to make everything work, that may be a little short-sighted, because I don't think all animals want Reiki all the time. So I think sometimes they just don't want it, or something else, some other tool. They don't want to have anything to do with it. So maybe just kind of use your intuition to feel whether this feels right to use at this moment.
Yep.
Kate is saying, Courtney, I am also not very psychic. What did you do to get started? What kept you going when you said it took you a year before realizing you had an inner voice? Great question.
Yeah, it really is. So I did my first workshop down in North Carolina with a communicator named Cindy Smith, and it opened the door. She taught us about how to use like our clair senses, our psychic senses, and all that. Basically, after I did the workshop, when I came home, I just started. I'm a big podcast person, so I was all about like the psychic development podcasts. For any of you who like podcasts, my favorite one. This is one word. It's called Psychic Teachers. Psychic Teachers is one word. So if you Google their podcast, it's with Deb and Samantha. They are my all-time favorites, and I've learned a lot from them. Because before I started doing animal communication, I didn't know about any of this stuff, right? And when you take a workshop, there's only so much that you can learn in a workshop because of the time, obviously. I probably listened to podcasts for a couple of years, and that helped me really develop the psychic senses. I always tell people to not just focus on talking like with animals, but learn everything about the psychic realm that you can. And that doesn't mean you have to go with crystals or anything like that. I actually personally don't use any of that stuff. I don't feel like it works on me. But just to learn as much as you can about all of metaphysics and see how it all ties in together. And about like learning my inner voice. I was very frustrated. Before I really realized that I had my inner voice, I was so frustrated. I was like, oh man, I can't hear. Like, I must be terrible. Just saying all this bad, self-doubting things about myself. And I read, and I do like a lot of reading online and, try to like absorb as much information. And I read somewhere about your inner voice and how not everybody does hear, like the animal or a person, if you're talking to a person, talk to you. So it was like once I realized it, and then I started paying attention to it. But you know what the funny thing is? So when I do a reading, I have not heard, like an external voice. But a couple times in my life, and there was this one time I was working my day job. So I'm at work. My mind is obviously not blank. It's not like I was meditating. I was, had 500,000 things going on. And I heard my passed over grandfather in my right ear.
Oh, wow.
How did you get through to me? Like my mind was not clear, And so I thought that was exciting. So I know I can hear. It's just me learning how to bring it out in a reading. Like that's what I need to work on. But no, so Kate, I would definitely just try to, whatever source of knowledge that you like to get, whether it's books, podcasts, videos, whatever it is. I've even taken psychic development classes in my local area. I feel that you definitely want to have a teacher, like have like one consistent teacher, that you can always fall back on for guidance. However, I did find that if I had several different teachers, several different sources, I learn a little bit from each source and I put them together. So just keep your options open. Just try to learn everything about metaphysics, not just animal communication, and it really will help you.
Great answer. And yeah, that's again, catch the rest of these live streams in this series, because that's specifically what I was trying to do, is not necessarily lots of metaphysical things, but use the first one we did was dreams, was how animals can communicate to us through dreams, and how we can continue that relationship in the waking state. The second one was about trees and plants and how we can communicate with them, and they had some great information for us. And every little bit that we learn that's not specifically about animal communication is still really helpful if we can just keep an open mind and get that expansiveness. It's really important. So anyway, And Kate, I also want to say, if you haven't been to Speak Good Human, you'll know that I try to take lots of different perspectives and put them on there, because specifically for this reason, because not everybody is in sync with one way or another way. You have to find your own way. And my story is very similar to Courtney's, where it took me a while before I caught on to this, and I could not figure out why it was taking me so long and why everybody else didn't seem to be taking a long time. I would be practicing every day. I tried every book out there. I was trying everything that they were recommending, videos, and it wasn't working. And the way it worked for me was when I realized I need to start listening to my way, because I'm a very independent person, and it wasn't going to work for me to have people tell me what to do and how to do it. I have to find out how I want to work and how it's best for me. And as soon as that happened, it all broke free for me. So it's about finding your own way, and you'll get there. Just explore all the different ways out there and see what feels right. Okay, we have one over here that I had passed up before. When an animal passes away and keeps sort of coming back, some humans from the family say they even see him. Even everyone has their own story and purpose. Can this be for a particular issue that he is trying to show us? I'm going to take this off so that we can see you.
I'm so low. It's funny because going back to Colin, he went and showed himself to a friend of mine, and Colin in life had a crooked neck from a past injury, not from being with me. Prior to being with me, we rescued him. Just want to point that out. And he showed himself to my friend, and he showed himself with the neck issue. Now I know Colin still doesn't have that. He doesn't have the neck issue in spirit. But sometimes, yeah, they do come and show themselves to other people and to pay attention. And I often see one of my past dogs, and I'll see him maybe in the corner of my eye walking into a room or walking past. And for me, that means change is coming. Something's happening and you need to pay attention. Okay. Or, I'll have a dream and it'll be my cat, and it's just reassuring me that things are going the way they're meant to be. So they can go to other people and give them the same message. My cat, the same cat that comes to me, goes to my mum sometimes. In fact, went to my mother when she died. Initially, didn't come to me, which is a bit rude. But my mum's like,
there's that kind of attitude. That's why she's not.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, she's not open. But yeah, they absolutely can go to other people for different reasons, and it could be, that pet means something to that person, and it could be a different thing that person means to that different person. So I would pay attention to it. I hope that answers the question.
It could also mean maybe the person they were trying to reach is not really getting the message yet, so they're trying a different way.
Exactly.
Because if you had somebody come to you and say, I had a dream about your cat, and this is what it was. Maybe that's going to get you to think, oh, what exactly did she do in the dream? Oh, now I get it. I mean, maybe it could be something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything else out there? I'm not seeing any other questions, and I hope I didn't miss anybody. Well, if you do have any other questions, please do post them below, and we'll check back after this broadcast and be sure to help answer your questions. But thank you very, very much, Nicole and Courtney. I don't hear you. Did we scare the chickens away? I don't hear them anymore.
I think my husband did. He went outside.
Oh, okay. Well, this was great. The Mythbuster is a great idea to do this and to just kind of get through some of these perspectives and shift a little bit one way or the other so that we can see a different way. And it was really enlightening, and I love having both of you on here as sort of a tag team and hear different sides of things, because we are all so different. So thank you so much. And everybody else out there, thank you for showing up and asking your questions and for your support. And let's celebrate World Interspecies Communication Month and make this world a better place. Okay. Talk to you guys all later, and tune in for a few more of these live streams coming up tomorrow and the next few days. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.